worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. This is Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right. This is going to be a fairly quick one, right? Those famous words. Let's see. This one is revisiting Ascension symptoms, right? Excuse me if I'm a little more bouncy than usual than I normally am, because I'm walking Zeus. Let's say what's up to Zeus, my son's dog again. What's up, Zeus? He's all about going to get his sniff on. All right. So, yeah, I thought that it was important now to talk about Ascension symptoms, and let's just go and sort of rewind a little bit on what exactly it is we're talking about when we say Ascension symptoms, right? Okay. So, we have talked about on several videos, and, of course, a lot of other folks have made videos talking about the fact that, quite a few people, millions of people around the world are and have been going through spiritual awakenings, right? Leading them on a path of ascension, right? What do we say, what are we talking about when we say ascension? Well, we're talking about ascending to a higher vibrational frequency resonance, right? Resonating in a frequency range every day that is of a high vibrational nature, right? We want the electromagnetic field that we are emitting to be of a high vibrational frequency, right? And we talked about how we can control and sort of regulate that by being introspective and being mindful of our emotional states, our mental states, and exercising control in that arena, right? So, ascension symptoms are just that. They are symptoms physically that or mentally and spiritually as well, that a person would be experiencing whilst they are on their path of ascension, right? Now, certainly, everyone will have varying experiences, as with most of this, right? We're all individual expressions of the same energy, but indeed our own individual expressions. And it's important that we are our individual expressions. That's for a reason, right? So these symptoms will manifest in different ways. But some of the things that I've experienced, that other people have experienced and shared, physically, you can have or find yourself, for many people, uncharacteristically experiencing swings in your energy level, right? Meaning that throughout the course of a day, normally once you're up, it out and about and moving and into your day, right? By, let's say, 9 o'clock even. Folks who have a 9 o'clock work start, right? You usually can go through your day. You may have a little bit of a lull, right before lunch or something or whatever. But then you go and eat lunch, and you're re-energized and ready to knock out the rest of your day. And it's not really an issue, generally, right? All right, and then you find that on this path, and once you have begun to experience these things, that you're now having bouts of swings of energy. You have moments where you are extremely energetic, almost vibrantly so, like you actually feel. Well, I'll get into that. That's another separate symptom. But you're very energetic, right? And then that can be followed by a period of time when you're very apathetic, right? Um, you're very much in a lulled sort of state of relaxation, should I say. Um, you don't necessarily, or you may not necessarily feel sleepy. You may, right? There are some people who have experienced that, who have experienced themselves getting sleepy at times of the day where they normally wouldn't. You know, certainly not with an adequate night's rest beforehand. Um, but for many people, it's more of a intense, calm, and very laid back sort of a state that they find themselves after having been in a very energetic and rambunctious state almost, right? So just swings in your energy. And then I almost started to mention another one, which was that you can have periods of a day or night that you actually feel yourself vibrating, right? What do you mean, King Sadiq? I mean, literally, you feel like your body is like you're touching something that's vibrating very rapidly with two hands, and that vibration is going through your body. That's what the sensation feels like, or something akin to that. So a lot of people have reported that. Very interesting sensation. But yeah, you can feel like you are, and when I say that's vibration sensation, I've heard of a varying degree of things, right? So I've heard of and felt the full body vibration, right? Or I've heard people just say that their hands are shaking, you know, not like shaking like a leaf, but more like a little tight, like more like a vibration, right? Or I've heard people say their head feels like it's vibrating, right? So you can, again, experience it in different ways. Speaking of head, a lot of people have, of course, reported headaches, right? People who don't normally get headaches on a regular basis have experienced that, increasingly so. Appetite, swings in appetite, much the same as the energetic swings, you know, from extreme to extreme, being, you know, almost voracious one moment, or you know, just ravenous and completely feeling like you're starving, just you know, can't get enough food at the moment, to a point where you have no desire for food whatsoever, right? A lot of this, you start to see a common theme, polarity, right? And that's because your body electromagnetically is sort of fine tuning, right? It's almost like on the old TVs where you used to have to fine tune in a TV channel. The same thing. Your body is literally doing the same thing. It's fine tuning you to the higher frequency. So when you're moving back and forth, just like with the dial on those old TVs, you're going from one extreme to the other, right? One end of the frequency range to the other. Same thing with your body, and this is why you're experiencing a lot of polarity and in extremes. It's nothing spooky to do with it. It's scientific. You know what I mean? Your body is and does operate and emit constantly an electromagnetic field. We talked about that. That's just part of who and what we are, right? And I guess a good word might be you're modulating, right? Or your body, I guess a simpler way to put it is that you are tuning yourself frequency-wise to a higher frequency range so that you can resonate within that range rather than resonating at the lower frequency range that we have come accustomed to, right? Okay, so with that in mind, there are other symptoms. We've been pretty much talking about physical symptoms, but mentally, we talked about polarity and having extremes. That has, in many folks, been reported as extremes in mental state or mood, right? 1 minute you feel very upbeat and positive and outgoing, and the next minute very reclusive almost, right? Or very much not really wanting to have much to do with socializing, right? In any form. And you may feel very sort of in a down mood rather than that polar opposite upbeat mood that you were previously feeling. And you see me do a little pirouette or 360 sometimes. That's courtesy of Mr. Zeus here doing his thing. But I like to let him kind of have a little freedom to do his thing, right? We all deserve that. All right, so yeah, you are experiencing polarity, so it only makes sense that that would manifest in mental states as well, right? Um, it doesn't have to mean that you're going through or suffering from some mania like like your psychoanalyst would likely want to rush to conclude, unless they're one of your more progressive um, psychoanalysts who are starting to understand how we operate on an electromagnetic level, and how our frequency resonation or resonance, should I say, has a lot to do with us maintaining or managing those mental states, right? So, but at any rate, you will be affected in that way, or can be affected in that way. Spiritually, right? So we recognize our spirit form to be a higher energetic form of ourselves, right? Um, so the times that we tap into our spirit, right? The times that we are, I guess, in a certain way communicating with our spirit. Because though our spirit is us, it is an aspect of ourselves that we can turn away from our lower aspects or our physical aspects. So think of your physical body, and even your mental self as, let's give them a number. Let's say 3 and 4. Let's say your physical body is your 3 and your mental body is your 4. Your spiritual aspect wouldn't come into play normally until your 5th, 6th, or 7th ascending aspects, right? Etc., etc. Um, you can equate that to higher dimensional states. Um, if we want to look at it from a metaphysical slash quantum physical level, right? You can look at it that way. Um, Either way, this process will certainly, well, let me say this. Rather than say you will be affected spiritually by this, and you certainly can be, I would more so say that where you are spiritually and in terms of your connection and relationship with your own spirit, right? Your own spiritual energy. Some of us have a very high connectivity spiritually, right? Very much so. So depending on how that is, are you? Okay. Depending on how that relationship is, it will manifest how you are impacted spiritually. But I would more so say, rather than, again, being impacted spiritually, I would say that where you are spiritually steers your ascension process, right? So it's more so that your spiritual state is the catalyst or the stimulus, right? In this situation, if we want to look at it in terms of like a scientific process, but we're not talking about science, we're talking about spirit, even though the two often intertwine. Yeah, we, through relationship and I almost want to say familiarity, right? But relationship is probably the better word. Through our relationship with our own spirit, we are greatly able to impact how we manifest our spiritual ascension process. Maybe that's the best way I could put it, right? Come on, folks. Anybody been watching my videos? Unfortunately, sometimes I take a minute to figure out exactly how I want to say what I'm saying, but you get the point. Yeah, no, it's all really very much intertwined, right? Your spiritual, your physical, and your mental aspects of yourself are both affected and impact the overall process of your spiritual ascension. And it will manifest in some of those symptoms, right? Again, it could be quite a few other symptoms. Um, I could never mention them all, right? Like I said, a lot of people have reported these things. People have also, I've even seen videos where folks have sort of warned about opening your third eye, right? Um, Going through hallucinations or having visions of very disturbing things. Listen, quite honestly, that could be part of your process anywhere along the way, right? Whether you're to the point where you're opening your third eye, um, you know, whether it's just along your journey of the spiritual ascension, you may come across some things that are disturbing. I stated over and over again, and I continue to, that through all of this, we must be spiritually mature.